Hello, in this video I'm going to go over a few more questions on arithmetic sequences. Specifically, the use of the formula for the nth term, a question involving simple interest, and a question where we need to approximate the common difference. All shown here in the syllabus. The formula for the nth term of an arithmetic sequence is shown in page 3 of your formula booklet. In this question, we have to first find the first term and the common difference. One approach is to draw a diagram showing the third term and the 15th term and spaces for the terms in between. If we write down what we know, that the third term, U3, is 10 and the 15th term is 46. And then find the number of common differences that have been added to get from the third term to the 15th term. And we can see from the diagram that D has been added 12 times. So if we use this to write an equation, connecting the third term, which is 10, and the 15th term, which is 46. And then if we solve the equation to give D equals 3, we can check that this is correct by filling in the missing terms. In order to find the first term, if we first by subtracting the common difference, 3, from the third term, which is 10, we can find the second term, which is 7. And then repeating this process again, subtracting 3 from 7, will give a first term of 4. Another way to approach this problem is to use the formula for the nth term as given in your formula booklet and to write the first piece of information, that U3 is 10, as an equation by replacing n with 3 and putting it equal to 10 as shown. Repeating this process for the second piece of information, that U15 is 46, this time replacing n with 15 and putting it equal to 46. So we now have a pair of simultaneous equations. You can either solve them algebraically or you can solve them on your calculator. From the main menu, if you select Equation and then press F1 for simultaneous. If you press F1 for two unknowns and then F2 to delete any previous coefficients and F1 to confirm the deletion. And finally press F1 again and then we're ready to input our equations. So in the first row, if we press 1, 2, and 10, and in the second row, 1, 14, and 46. Then if we press F1 to solve, we'll see that x, which is U1, is 4, and y, which represents D, is 3. So as before, the first term is 4, and the common difference is 3. In part B, we're asked to show that 110 is not a term in the sequence. If we start by using the formula for the nth term, which is given in your formula booklet, and substituting in the values of U1 and D that we found. So replacing U1 with 4, first term is 4, and D with 3. and if you wish, you can simplify the expression. Using this formula, we could now list out all the terms in the sequence to see if 110 was one of them. And we can actually use the calculator to create the sequence. From the main menu, if we select Table, and then type the equation into the first line. 4 plus bracket, and we use x for the variable, take away 1, close the bracket, multiplied by 3. And press execute to enter the equation. Then if we press F5 to set the sequence, put in a start value of 1 and an end value of say 100 will create the first 100 terms and a step of 1. And then if we press exit and then F6 for table, the sequence will be displayed and we can scroll down to see whether 110 is one of the terms. And we can see that 110 is not a term in the sequence. Now in this question we were asked to show, and if we look at the glossary of terms, the definition of show is that the question does not generally require the use of a calculator. So generating the sequence is a good way of checking your understanding. So another way of solving this problem is still to find the formula for the nth term, but then to write an equation by setting it equal to 110, as shown. And then to solve the equation, either algebraically, given n equals 36.3. And since n is not a whole number, 110 is not a term in the sequence. Or we can solve the equation using Solver. So from the main menu, we select Equation, press F3 for Solver, and F2 to delete any previous equation, F1 to confirm that, and then we type in our equation. So 110, shift to get down to the equals, 4 plus bracket, and again we use x for the variable, take away 1, close the bracket and times by 3. Pressing execute to enter the equation. And just note that the number next to x is not the solution to this equation, as we haven't pressed solve yet. So if you press F6 to solve the equation, we'll see again that x is 36.3, or n is 36.3. And again, as it's not a whole number, 110 is not a term in the sequence. In this question, we're asked to model the data as an arithmetic sequence. If we start by looking at the difference between consecutive terms, we see that there isn't a common difference. So in order to model the data as an arithmetic sequence, we will find the average common difference. And we can do that by either adding up these 4 differences and dividing by 4, or by subtracting the lowest value from the highest value and dividing by 4, giving an average common difference of 128 schools. So then if we use the formula for the nth term, noting that the first term is 2,155 and the common difference is 128. Then to make our prediction, we identify that 2023 is the 11th term in the sequence. If you're not sure, you can list them out as shown. So we need to substitute n equals 11. To get our required value. So I predict that 3,435 schools will take the IB Diploma in 2023. In this final question, we have to calculate how much Rashid will have in 25 years' time. So if we first start by finding 10%, which is 300 euros. So after 1 year, the amount will be 3,300 euros. As it's simple interest, the interest doesn't change each year, so it'll be 300 euros each year. So after 2 years, the amount will be 3,600 euros, and after 3 years, 3,900 euros. So we can see that this is an arithmetic sequence with a first term of 3,300 and a common difference of 300. So if we use our formula for the nth term, replacing u1 with 3,300, d the common difference with 300, and n with 25 to get our required amount. So after 25 years, Rashid will have 10,500 euros in his account.